Aloha, everyone. Welcome to Java. It's Wednesday, and this is for September 13th, 2023. Thank you kindly for joining me. So, we've got a lot to go over again today. So, let's get right into the markets, do a little overview here. We've got a favorite risk indicator, the MMRI, and it's still in clearly high risk territory. We are over the 280. The US 10-year yield has hit over the 4.3 mark that the markets hate. And the dollar relative strength is also high. We've got the VIX, or volatility index, if you will, is in the positive range. And we're also watching people that are starting to put their money into treasuries, which is a safety play. Oil is still high on supply constrictions. And so the story for this one is that we are watching on our calendar, basically, we're watching the core CPI and the inflation reading that the Federal Reserve will be using for their decision on whether they hike rates again or not. And my take on this is that it doesn't really matter what the number is, but whether they are expecting it or not, or whether they think it's a big deal and how they frame the language on this. So, with this coming out at 8:30 in the morning prior to market open, we're going to expect high volatility as soon as the market opens, and then it should kind of shake out through the rest of the day. So, if you're not a high risk taker, my recommendation, which is not financial advice, is to kind of sit out this morning unless you are one who loves that volatility and understands how to trade it. Okay, so moving on to our oil and energy section. So we do expect oil to continue higher. We've still got Saudi Arabia as well as Russia constricting supplies, and they're dedicated to this. This is another form of currency war where they are controlling the commodities that are needed elsewhere. And it doesn't help that we've got Hurricane Lee sitting off the coast, showing that it's on track to hit a refinery. So that's hitting us with the prices. I do have one shout out I would like to give to Governor Kemp of Georgia in the United States. And he declared a state of emergency and suspended gas taxes. I think that's a correct move because that leaves money in the pockets of those that need to get to work and spend it every day. So instead of spending money on silly programs, he's leaving it right in the pockets of people where they need it. And that's the lowest cost method of helping people. So, enough of my opinion. Moving on to banks and inflation. As I said, investors now are going into treasury bills because they are seen as a safe haven asset among the inflation readings, which they are expecting to be high. So, between the two central banks, specifically the Federal Reserve and the European Central Bank, they're going to move together. So the story says that the Fed is going to leave them unchanged and the ECB is kind of watching for a pause. But the truth is, they're going to do whatever it is together. ECB will follow the Fed because they are trying to protect what little they have left in the currency. So we've got this story continuing with the banks that Wells Fargo is closing several more branches. And we know this is a big deal for a couple of reasons. First off, in the commercial sector, because it's real estate that's going dark, it's also with the banking and as well as your cash. So if you have cash in the banks that you don't need for your current bills for immediate use, take it out, get your money out of the bank. My recommendation. Okay, real estate still taking hits. Mortgage rates are beginning to just kind of crush the consumer. And as people are no longer able to make the payments, they're starting to fall behind. And so we've also got another real estate investor coming out saying winter is coming on a couple of different reasons, not just the mortgage rates, no refinancing. The older notes are coming due this year to where if they were adjustable, they do need to be dealt with, basically refinanced at whatever the current rate is that they can get, as well as Airbnbs that are about to dump on the market because they've got some multiple pressures there. So on to retail and jobs. Okay, at the base of all of this, basically, there is no access to credit. So once people have maxed out their credit cards, it's causing issues. And we've got this warning about corporate bankruptcies. Companies are no longer able to hit these credit lines, not just individuals, but small to medium businesses, and it's squeezing them out. So small business owners are beginning to file bankruptcy. They can't handle the inflation. The costs are just too high. So I want to move on to our trade and trade wars because this is really the big story that we need to watch. First, France is halting the sales of iPhones because they're saying that the EMFs, or electromagnetic frequencies, are too high, and they're just kind of temporarily halting the sales. They're giving them 15 days to fix this. And if this spreads, it could be a real issue for Apple and other things moving forward. I've got a little short on some Faraday cloth that I'm going to go over probably in my second section. You can follow with this, but I'm not going to do it here. So I just wanted to mention this. There was an explosion in Archer Daniel Midfield. This is another food production facility. So another supply construction for the food. Moving on, we had Kim Jong-un. He went over to visit Putin in Russia. They are making deals. He has promised to make arms deals with Russia and has quoted, "I will always stand with Russia," being very clear about where it is. In the meantime, they've been firing their ballistic missiles to show that they do have now ICBMs, or intercontinental ballistic missiles. They can reach the US now. Guy's a little unstable. Honestly, I want him to forge these ties with Putin and Xi because maybe they will keep him rational. So we've got China unveiled a new list of US products to be excluded from additional tariffs. So in this move, Xi Jinping is actually showing that he is in power because he is the one that will decide, by making the products too expensive or not, as to what will be sold. So he's kind of controlling production from a smaller standpoint. This kind of falls into the currency war issue. But I want to move on to this one. This story is not circulating much in the United States for obvious reasons. Syria is demanding that the US pay for the oil that they have stolen. And this is over a period of years. And so they put a letter to the UN saying that they want the US to have to pay for the oil that they have been stealing for all of these years. And basically, oil is one of the key reasons that the United States has been leaving military over in the Middle East for all this time. So I'm going to leave a link to the article in here so you can read the full thing if you would like. At this time, if you haven't hit the like button and there is actually something in here that you do like, I would really appreciate if you hit it. And I thank you all for all the of you that have supported me. Really appreciate that. Okay, moving on to the updates. So this is an important sector and what we have to look forward to, and one thing that we need to prepare for. And it's, again, energy. So really quickly with the energy, basically China got caught again with malware in another nation's power grids. Basically what they're doing is they're attacking the units that regulate the power, and basically it's just another way that they can control our energy source. So imagine, if you will, that we've got Russia and the Middle East on one way, not selling us oil or restricting supply, and then we've got some malware shutting our systems down. It's not going to work very well. And then I would like to bring up another article that was brought to me by one of my favorite supporters here that has really helped me out at this story. China advancing EMP weapons. And they've been doing this for a long time. I actually kind of mentioned this probably, I think, a couple of weeks ago. EMP stands for electromagnetic pulse. And what I was talking about with Faraday cloth at that time is something that can shield both you on your body as well as from these attacks. So basically, they attack electric devices and can shut them down. With the EMFs as well can also shield from that. Earlier, the story on the iPhone, and as well as radio frequencies. So I'm going to go over this a little bit. I'm going to leave a link to this product. It's called Faraday cloth. And there's a little bit more to go into with this, but I want to leave you all off to your trading day. And I'm going to have a second segment that I will be putting out in a bit. So one more time, I would like to thank you all for being with me. Wish you a green trading day, just a wonderful day in general. And until I see you next time, my friends, maybe in a few minutes, or if I see you later, stay free.